Today on the Topic Show, a study shows that there's a record number of low people who believe in the mainstream media. Kamala make weed legal post backfires epically on social media. The UAW has a rally to elect Harris Walz. Elon on the USA being invaded. Kamala has a plan, but only for people of a particular race to assist them. Porsche working hard to save the stickshifts. Nissan making vintage GT-R parts for the 40th anniversary. And Joker 2 on track to lose $150 million in theaters. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I say your founder at least twice a day. I say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the Business Problem Podcast, you have some good news. Porsche working hard to save the stick shifts. Also known as the manual transmission, also known as having 3 pedals, also known as the best way to drive a vehicle bar none. And yes, I include SUVs, trucks, every type of vehicle is always more fun to drive when it has 3 pedals, which inevitably means it'll be hard for me to ever get an SUV because they stopped making those with 3 pedals around 2009, which incidentally enough was a Porsche with a V8, which pretty cool. I take that back. They did have the V6 SUV a couple years later. But, I'd rather get the V8, but that's just me. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Nico over at The Drive. It says, quote, Porsche is working hard to save the manuals, 911 and 718, boss says. Porsche's Frank Mosher says the company intends to keep offering manuals as long as the current sports cars exist, which, I mean, lately there's been a lot of sad headlines, a lot of rough times, but, I'm in no financial way to actually afford a Porsche at this point. Except perhaps a Porsche model that I can put on my desk. Although even Legos are getting pricey, I partially digress. But this still warms the heart. In a world that's acquiescing to automatic transmission, EVs, and soulless computers on wheels, there are still very few, but there are still companies dedicated to having a third pedal. And shoot, look at the pony car wars. The Chevrolet Camaro is going to come back as apparently a 2-door EV SUV. And then the Dodge Charger, well, that's going to be an EV Charger or a straight 6. ICE engine with no stick shift. Safe to say that the Mustang, which still to this day offers a V8 and stick shift, did win the Pony Wars. But in terms of, not anything against wrong about Mustangs, gotta clear out those crowds at an auto show somehow. But if you want like a higher end sports cars, there's very few left with stick shift. You do have Aston Martin, appreciate them doing that, but all the other ones have acquiesced to boringness. You got, Lamborghini, nope. Ferrari, nope. Maserati, nope. Even the Corvette, a staple of Americana, as American as apple pie and, baseball. Well, they've acquiesced to automatic only, which is viscerally disgusting. As pretty much every Corvette since the dawn of, when the inception of 1953 had the option for the third pedal. But I partially digress. Going back to Porsche, if you're only tuning in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you are missing out on this. It's not a work of art per se, but it's a picture of the inside of a Porsche 911, and it looks just beautiful. So definitely tune into this on rumble.com or I guess YouTube. If it's still there, unless it gets taken down mysteriously, as it tends to do from time to time. But there you can see the nice Porsche wheel. Then you can see that iconic stick shift to the right in the center column, showing that you do know you have 3 pedals, which, and granted, every Porsche should have 3 pedals by default, but I partially digress. Now, getting into the specifics, they say, quote, Sony needs to send Porsche executives a free Save Manuals t-shirt because they seem to be aligned with the cause. During a recent roundtable interview attended by The Drive, again, that's from the website that's posting this, Porsche 911 and 17 boss Frank Mosher said not only will the brand continue to sell vehicles with manuals, but hopes to do so until at least the end of the generation of sports cars made by Porsche. That's key, best because ever-tightening emissions regulations have threatened to kill off the third pedal in some models even more quickly than anticipated. Which, I think this has become a political issue and cultural issue. It's also, it was globalist, because again, the European Union, they go, you can't make the Cayman anymore with a stick shift in Europe, because of cybersecurity issues, aka they want more control. It's got too much emissions for this car. You gotta kill it too. Even though no one ever stops China from India for manufacturing pretty much darn near everything, including more than anyone else combined. But yeah, we can't have a fun car 3 pedals. Disgusting, un-American. Now they say, quote, and again this is from Mosher, manual transmission is always the way the customer wants the 911, so we have been working with as long as possible to save manuals. It's absolutely relevant to the 911. That's why we have the 911T with a manual gear shift and now the 911 ST with a stick shift. It's really because customers want a stick shift, which, oh, here's an even better picture. It's, well, granted, the bar is pretty low compared to modern art. That's mostly crap, but I mean, I believe this should be a poster. That is a beautiful picture of the Porsche Boxster Spider, the stick shift, as they should all have by default. It's looks beautiful. A thing of simplicity. Even the steering wheel doesn't have 58 buttons on it. It's more track oriented. There's none of that fancy doodads or whiz bangs, which are words I don't think have been spoken since the 1940s. But nevertheless, continuing with the article, they say, of course, Porsche isn't the only automaker still selling manuals. Well, this is funny, which they do compare it to, the Honda Civic Si and Type R also have it, which they do. And I love my Gen 10 Honda Civic Si. Unfortunately, they don't even make it in a coupe anymore. But let's be honest, that's not in the same stratosphere as a Porsche. They also note it, and again, they say the list goes on and on. This isn't that big of a sports car list. They also note the BMW M2, which BMW, I mean, they promised the M3 is gonna be that will for sure have a gas engine and stick shift, but I mean they are moving away from it more and more. They also have the Toyota Corolla GR and the GR86, which I'm surprised actually they failed to mention the good old Porsche. Well, not the Porsche, rather, good old Toyota Supra, which I kind of joke is also BMW. Same factory, different body panels, and it is slightly different. But yeah, looks like they also say, quote, however, don't expect manuals to stick around once electrification becomes the norm. Ugh. Which Toyota, they actually do have, they successfully got the patent for an EV with a third pedal and the software and technology to basically mimic having a stick shift, which part of me just thinks let it die with dignity in terms of the platform of the stick shift. It'll be interesting to see what the consumer adoption is for that and how many of them really like it. There you can see an even better picture of the Porsche 911T with the interior with that iconic stick shift. There's very few automotive articles that make me smile this much. It's been quite some time. And again, one of the most mentally vacuous things that Ferrari has done, a company renowned for printing money and doing whatever it takes to milk the customers every dollar they have, the fact they don't make a stick shift is so stupid. You look at, quote unquote, vintage Ferraris from the early, late 2000s eras. I mean, the stick shift models, same with Lamborghini, they're selling for 2 to 3 times more than the automatic ones. It seems like easy money, and yet very few companies are still doing it. Now, I'll be interested to see. Shoot, if I win lottery, I would definitely buy a Porsche 911 with a stick shift. Shoot, and again, in terms of maximizing profits, they also have all those programs for choosing all of your colors, very similar to the Rolls-Royce color program, where you can spend, like for Porsche, which admittedly I spent a disproportionate amount of my time on the Porsche configurator. I mean, you can spend $40,000 for a custom color that only you get, and you can make it as specific as you want. I think they have like 35 different shades of green, which, shoot, I'd love to get that. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how many people, latch on to this, and how long could they keep it alive, as again, you have the government interfering with them, and you do have some consumer sentiments shifting, unmoderately intended. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Nissan to make vintage Skyline GT-R parts for the 40th anniversary in a brilliant marketing move. Now, this comes to us thanks to James Gilby, who's a writer over at The Drive, in which he says, quote, Nismo is remaking Skyline GT-R parts for the 40th birthday, but they aren't cheap. Many of the Nismo's classic original logo, vintage style, come at a cost, though, which, well, yeah, they can also charge a premium because they know people will pay for it. I can't help but think it's going to be highly profitable. You see that for well-supported cars like the Nissan Skyline GT-R are loved by the tuning world, there's just something special about factory performance upgrade. After all, they're crafted by engineers who know things about the car that the aftermarket will never know. So if you've been watching Up Garage and vintage Nismo parts come up, you're close to a dozen other browser tabs. Nissan is putting some of them back in production for the Nismo's 40th anniversary. But between the Skyline tax and their limited availability, you can be sure of one thing, it won't be cheap. Here you can see, it looks like they have some exhaust performance parts there. Say the incoming batch of parts were listed as, quote, new post on Nismo's website and range from accessories to cosmetics and performance parts, many featuring the original Nismo logo. Almost are for the R32, though there are a few R33 and R34 compatible items, which, let's be honest, when people think of the Nissan GT-R, those are the models they think of, aka the silver one from Fast and Furious that Brian O'Connor or actor Paul Walker famously drove. I want to say that's 90% of the reason why they're popular, but it's not an insignificant contributing factor. And again, it's an awesome platform. It's a legendary vehicle. And like most things in life, price can go up as much as you want. I went to a car show a couple months ago, and someone had spent $370,000 importing like a perfect example of it, and it looked great. I should have asked where the guy works if they need IT, but yeah, it was a beautiful specimen. Now, they say, quote, you'll be able to choose from things like branded radiator and oil caps, seat covers, a shift boot, and titanium shift knob, or things like reproduction floor mats, stickers to restore your classic. Meanwhile, the store still protectors and fitted sunshades can preserve it further. But obviously, the rest of the meat is in the factory performance parts. Starting out mild, Nissan is bringing back a signature 18-inch LM GT4 aluminum wheels, a new run of stainless steel NE1 exhaust. There's also a retro 4-point seat harness, though it looks more like these days it's going to be more like for safety compliance reasons. There you can see some more iconic parts there as well. They say the spice to that meat, though it begins with the Nissan's intake manifold for the RB26D featuring an enlarged surge tank, which Nissan says is optimized from 400 to 600 horsepower. There's an official endorsement for the cranking the boost. The front mount intercooler with prominent Nismo script pairs nicely with it, along with the upgraded radiator to rid your car of extra heat. There's also an R33 Nismo 400R derived titanium strut tower that's designed to fit the R32. Further prettying up your engine bay, it's often said that the GT-R tax though, and you'd be sure to pay a premium for these factory parts, which, yeah, of course. They say the intake manifold, for example, will set you back $1,625. The intercooler, $1,650. HKS alternative is a third cheaper. The radiator runs $1,200. Oh, that's almost too funny. The radiator is $1,235, which, dude, just for marketing simplicity, I would just lowered it by $1, so you can say it's 1, 2, 3, 4 price point, but that's me. The strut tower bar goes for $1,160. So, I mean, this will sell pretty darn well, especially with enthusiasts. And it's one of those things where more, I mean, in terms of factory support and manufacturer support, I mean, it's hard to beat Mazda in terms of like the long running support they've had for the Miata. I mean, you can get those parts darn near everywhere and anywhere these days, and the factory does pretty good supporting them. There's a Nissan. Well, shoot, I'm not sure how much they've really done, but in terms of preserving your iconic pieces of automotive history, you should be doing this all the time anyway. I mean, this is when people think of Nissan. I mean, pejoratively, people think of the Altima and the BAE Energy. I mean, this whole Facebook page is dedicated to that, which admittedly is funny to look at. But if you really want to think peak Nissan engineering, peak performance, the R32, R34 GT-R, and that's when they were at their best. And arguably, they've been going downhill ever since, thanks in part to terrible manufacturing techniques and choices like the, what was it, the dual clutch? Oh no, what was it? A CVT transmission that breaks every 10 seconds, seemingly. But yeah, in terms of, I mean, Porsche does a great job supporting their legacy vehicles, like the Porsche Carrera GT. I mean, the Porsche GT, this premium, it's not worth over $1 million. They still do updates and support with parts with it. And I mean, it's part about keeping the company's legacy alive. Just for even if they only make a little bit of profit, which again, I suspect they'll make a lot of profit on this, just for the marketing alone, just to keep that dream alive, I think it'd be worth every penny, because it keeps a good name associated with Nissan, where they could use every help, every little help they can get when it comes to that metric. And I think, I mean, these are going to sell out immediately. I mean, I have a friend who tracks one of these vehicles, which is awesome. It's so rare to see these actually going to the track and used as they're engineered for. They should all be doing that, but it's one of those things where I'm sure these things will sell like hotcakes. Everyone's going to want them. And yeah, why not just support it full time? I mean, I'm actually surprised they don't just, embolden a little, 40th anniversary extra logo or decal on there just to further emphasize like the anniversary point. But if I was, one of the leads at Nissan, I'd say, well, let's do this full time, have a legacy program, like a heritage program, shows, customer support long term. I think it'd be great for the brand. And again, Nissan needs every help they can when it comes to preserving or turning around the brand that is Nissan has become. But let me know in the comments, do you think more manufacturers should do this for legacy vehicles? Do you think this will actually improve anyone's optics or anyone's opinion of Nissan? Or do you think it'll be actually perceived as just a quick money grab? Let me know, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the culture part podcast, you have a record low trust in mainstream media. Who would have thunk it? Which, yeah, in terms of what people believe these days and, where the trust is, yeah, this sounds about right. It should be record low, if not negative, if that's even possible. Never forget, just a couple weeks ago, you had MSNBC, thanks to undercover reporter James O'Keefe. Well, a producer at MSNBC admitted, oh yeah, they actively make their audience dumber and more emotionally charged, so that if they see or hear a Republican, they just viscerally get angry, just dumbing down the intelligence. And they also admitted, oh yeah, we're doing everything we can to push the Kamala Harris message to get her elected. And it's funny because the competitors or so-called competitors like ABC or all those other guys, they could have come out and say, "Hey, we're different because we don't do that." But yeah, I suspect they can't really do that because yeah, they basically all do that. So I don't know many people with the modicum of intelligence who actually believes in mainstream media. Granted, I still recommend you checking it out to get well-rounded opinion, see what the other side, or if you see it as a kind of a battle of minds or cultural battle, see what the other side is thinking, their perspectives. The best way to win an argument is to kind of know what they're shooting for. So I still recommend you checking them out. Granted, I wouldn't pay for anything like CNN, but that's just me. Now, going to the actual chart that went pretty viral on social media, this comes to us thanks to Kaneko the Great, who said, quote, "New Americans trust the media is hitting record lows, except for about half of Democrats and seniors," which, well, I mean, most of those mainstream medias are just extra arms of the Democrat Party, so I wouldn't be too surprised. They note that 69% of adults say they have no trust at all or not very much trust in media. 46% of Democrats, 76% of independents, 88% of Republicans feel the same. 57% of those are 65 plus, 67% of those people are aged 50 to 64, 74% of those are under 50, have little or no trust in media. Do older Democrats ever wonder why they're the only group left still trusting the mainstream corporations? Here you can see since 1974 to 2024, that graph where it just crashes like a Boeing airplane, which, well, wasn't meant to be, but dark humor pun, I guess. Well, not intended, but it happened. It looks like it actually went up a little bit from 1972 to 1976, where they thought it was great and fair. And then after that, it's gone down, down, down for people who say a great deal or fair amount. So yeah, that's terrible. It's almost as bad as like Walgreens stock, which unfortunately has become a joke. I mean, look at their 5-year trend. It's rough. Now going to the other graph, this is Parsons' trust in mass media, 1972 to 2024. That graph, you have the actual breakdown between Republicans, Independents, and Democrats. Republicans, kind of cliche, but they're the red line. Democrats being the blue line, and Independents being the dotted grayish line. And you can see, for a while, it actually went down. So from 1976 to 2000, it actually decreased for Democrats, then went up a little bit, went down 2008 to 2016, it crashed. Then after 2016, it skyrocketed like Nvidia stock, just shooting to the moon, like exponentially increase. So it looks like everyone had a little bit of bump in 1996, but the overall trajectory for Republicans just crashing, same with independents. Democrats went up a little bit. And yeah, I'd love to meet the average person. I'd love to interview these folks, be like, why do you think they still earn your trust? These mainstream media companies, again, that includes Fox and some that are on the right. I was about to say some, there's barely one in terms of mainstream media. But what have they done to earn your trust? And they lie so much. I mean, just the one story alone, the Hunter Biden laptop story that was covered up by the mainstream media, they all said, it was what, 50 plus retired, government agents said, oh yeah, we promise this is fake Russia disinformation. And yeah, it turned out to be, oh no, it was in fact very true. Of course, not very much ramifications for the Bidens, but nevertheless, it was a true story. Now, going to the main comments, I think it goes as far as I thought. I got about 40,000 views from this individual person, as well as 1.1 thousand likes. One of the first comments comes from Salty Goat saying, MSM is officially dead. No one believes a word they say anymore, and for good reason. Gave 189 likes. You have someone by the name of Blake saying, do older Democrats ever wonder why there's still the only group trusting these media corporations? Unfortunately, probably not. Getting 44 likes. Paratrooper Brady says legacy media is trash. The only place that has the truth is Truth Social and X, getting 11 likes. Zeno says the fake news outed itself for being fake news, but still continues to push fake news is peak irony, getting 7 likes. These contrarian statements, because again, there's some people who will fight to the death saying they believe in the old mainstream media, the old vanguard of what they believe is truth, which yeah, not so much. American Dawn says, it would require introspection, and given there's still Democrats, clearly that ain't happening. Getting 3 likes. Let's see. Liberty Pill, a little disappointing. Someone by the name of Liberty Pill Memes did not in fact respond in meme form, but nevertheless, this individual did say, old habits die hard for older Democrats, getting 4 likes. Let's see. And the beauty of mostly free market, again, there's a lot of unfortunate censorship on most media, or most, media, but I think more and more people are starting to, we're going to see more fragmentation in the mainstream media. Again, I don't know anyone who actually, like, in terms of like paying for a cable bill or paying for like MSNBC or CNN. Even my friends who are left, they don't pay for that. So it's I guess their revenue is nearly 100% advertisements. I mean, I'm not sure I don't know. I really don't know anyone who actually would be willing to pay for it or get alone trust it. So yeah, I just don't see how it's going to change anytime soon. But let me know in the comments. Do you think anyone will actually change their perception of mainstream media? Do you think they'll believe them again, or do you think those companies will actually adapt and become more honest overnight? I mean, CNN got taken over by a new CEO almost about a year ago. He tried to make some changes, but yeah, doesn't seem to be doing much results. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news: you have Elon Musk on the United States being invaded, going viral on social media. Now, this is something where, yeah, we've had a record number of illegal immigration in the United States past 42 months. I believe it was, some estimates say as high as 10 to 12 million. And yeah, this population greater than most states in the United States. And for most people with modicum intelligence, that would be considered something to be concerned about, especially because we see many of those folks are criminals. Again, not all of them. Some are very fine people, and some, I assume, are good people. Which, maybe that's the worst Trump impression you've heard all year, but the attempt was nevertheless made. This was Elon actually responding to Donald Trump. So, I will perhaps pain your ears one more time with his attempted impression. So, Donald Trump has his video, and I'll play the video in a New York minute. It says, quote, "America is being invaded, and the occupation, liberate America. Vote, swap the vote.usa.com for more information." Which, the attempt was made. So this is about a minute 50. Then you have Elon reacting to it. So let's watch this little commercial here.
Open borders, deadly consequences.
Border crisis. Record high crossings are putting a strain on cities across America.
It is a full-blown invasion.
Armed Venezuelan gang members storming an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado.
When people talk about migrant crime, this is what they're talking about.
I'll never forget the leaders in Colorado. They said, oh yeah, that's not actually happening. Turns out it was, and those Venezuelan gangs are actually extorting people who live in those apartments, demanding rent.
Talking about Biden and Harris had created a program to bring them in under humanitarian parole.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been released into the United States.
My 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was murdered in her own room. Kayla's murderer was apprehended by Border Patrol crossing illegally into the U.S.
Kayla's murderer had been improperly released into the United States.
Abolish ICE. Yeah, we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
An Afghan national is in custody today after being accused of plotting an election day terrorist attack. The suspect entered the U.S. on a special immigrant visa.
More than a dozen people suspected of being Tren de Aragua gang members right here in San Antonio.
The gang members had been terrorizing the apartment complex.
New details in the murder of Lake and Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect, who cops say committed the heinous murder, is a Venezuelan national.
And was paroled and released into the country by the Biden administration.
Two men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder in the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
Court documents suggest a group of men arrested for beating and robbing a Dallas woman last month are members of a Venezuelan street gang.
Manuel Hernandez was booked by Colleyville police just 2 days earlier and released the day before the robbery.
And the last screen says, "End the occupation, liberate America." And of course it fades out. It's kind of cliche to fade out, but it fades out to Trump bans Make America Great Again 2024. Which, yeah, it's fascinating. This is, well, not just a cultural thing, but a political thing in terms of, I mean, some people just want the open border, which maybe they just never read a history book, does not end well. This pre-file got 58.7 million views, and then Elon responded saying, quote, if it looks like an invasion, sounds like an invasion, and use guns like an invasion, then it's an invasion, unquote. Again, it got, wow, 58.7 million views and 302,000 likes. With the first likes or comments rather coming from AKA saying, quote, "Yep, it's an invasion. Just insane that Democrats are allowed to let this happen," getting 432 likes. Never forget, they actually not only they allowed it to happen, they pushed to have it happen more. We had the U.S. government suing the great state, or some might argue the great country of Texas. When we tried to defend our border, the government sued us to try to prevent that. I believe they also did that with Arizona. So we try to do their job, and they say no. Yeah, that sounds like treason to me, but that's just my 3 cents. Used to be 2 cents, but 40-year hyperinflation, gotta be 3 cents. Though it is still free to click that subscribe button. Ian Miles Strong says, quote, "It is 1% an invasion, and anyone telling you otherwise is part of the invasion," getting 654 likes. Paul Zupa says, quote, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris invited this invasion by, in the first 100 days, canceling 94 executive actions by President Donald Trump that kept the border secure. Biden and Harris are both guilty of treason. Countless Americans have died in the hands of illegals because of them. I got 989 likes, which, yeah, Kamala Harris keeps, it's hard to do a Kamala Harris impression of her accent because she changes so fluidly, kind of like her policies. But yeah, I'm trying to think of how to do a cackling, kind of random accent of Kamala Harris. But yeah, she keeps saying they need the House and the Senate to do stuff, and yet day one, Biden repealed again 94 executive actions, which were working. Just look at any graph about illegal immigration. Now you also have World of Statistics, who said, "quote Annual encounters with migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. 2024 was 2.756 million. 2023 was 3.2 million. 2022 was 2.7 million. 2021 was 1.9 million. 2020 was 646,000. Yeah." Pretty big increase. It got 431. We also have Cash Loren said an invasion by design allowed by Kamala and Harris and Democrats, getting 36 likes. Mentally vacuous, but nevertheless it's a contrarian statement, so I'll go ahead and read it. This is from Keith Aloha, which, spoiler alert, he's a leftist, and maybe one of the few examples where I'll permit an emoji in their name. The emoji is in fact of a palm tree, and he says, if it looks like a good post, sounds like a good post, it must be a great post. And he has a screenshot of Elon Musk saying, "Believe what you see, not what you're told." Someone in his text actually responded to someone saying, "Okay, I've told you you're a genius, but I've only ever seen you act like an effing moron." Like most leftists, Keith did not actually, address the main substance of this post about illegal immigration or the statistics around how this increased, but he just says Elon man bad. You see this with a lot of leftists where they also do orange man bad with Trump. And don't get me wrong, there's some people on the far right who do it as well. Can't help but notice the frequency of, leftists. But nevertheless, while being mentally vacuous, that did get 39 likes. Scrolling down more and more, you have Fight with Memes, who, A+. They did, in fact, respond in meme form, saying this is fine. And then he has a picture of the U.S.-Mexico border being overrun by illegals. And it says, "You're not being intolerant. You're not being inclusive. You're not being open-minded. You're being conquered," unquote. Got 1.2 thousand likes. Scrolling down more and more. Trump Army says, "Together we'll make America secure again." This picture, I think, is photoshopped. Let's Getty Images. Maybe it's real. It looks like Trump, J.D. Vance, and then Elon, but it looks like they're standing in like a farm or something, or a barn. Got 1,000 likes though. Scrolling down more and more, you have Radio Geneva saying, "America is making the same mistake as Europe. We need mass deportations." Getting 1.8 thousand likes. Trump Army has a picture of Elon and Trump. It simply says, "They are on a mission to save this great nation again," getting 1,000 likes. Gentile News Network says, "Dang, if we only could figure out who is sending them," getting 4.1 thousand likes, which, yeah, that's a fascinating thing. People think it's only people coming from Mexico, but it's literally people from all over the globe that are coming through this path in the United States. Beast Eats says, "This is a real invasion. Using the term illegal immigration is too mild to describe it." And there in the first, it's a juxtaposition of two pictures. In the first picture, you have immigration, you have people of many nationalities waving the American flag. Then the picture below it is invasion. It's like a lot of illegals just marching in a straight line. That is an interesting thing we've seen kind of change throughout the past couple of decades. I mean, it used to be, America was a melting pot. There's a lot of assimilation. When my family came from Cuba, I mean, you won't see a single person waving a Cuban flag because those dictators are evil as hell over there. That's why we all, escaped the Castros. You will see a lot of Cubans probably waving the American flag. That's why we came here, it's freedom. But it is interesting to see a lot of people nowadays coming to the United States where they're seemingly more proud of their country than ours in terms of, their actions and their displays. The American flag is becoming more and more rare these days. Now, that picture of the juxtaposition of the two, immigration versus invasion also got 129 likes. Let's see here. Scrolling down more and more. That must be a real picture. There's like 12 pictures of Elon and Trump in a barn. And they're all describing, saying how they could fix it, which it'll be a huge logistical military thing to actually get that. And you obviously have to work with local police. If you actually want to do mass deportations, it'd be one of the most complex in terms of logistic actions the U.S. has done in decades. Someone like Elon could spearhead that, or someone from the private sector, but yeah, in terms of the government doing anything right, like, I'm not going to say the odds are zero, but they're approximately 0.0000000000725%, approximately. Scrolling down more and more, you have Wayne Dunlop saying, quote, "It is incontemptible what the Biden-Harris administration has inflicted on our cities and diverting precious resources to criminals entering our country. Illegally only increases the power." Looks like an article from the Daily Mail referencing New York City. It says 4.9 million per night. It says New York City seeks seeks 14,000 hotel rooms for migrants through 2025, with each one costing $352 per night. Got 19 likes for that article. Let's see. Diana Panciento says the United States is increasingly resembling Ukraine, getting 141 likes. Well, except the fact we don't get taxpayer money sent to ourselves to help out people with hurricanes. Except for that part. So it's not to make contrarian statements. And again, this has become one of the biggest cultural things people talk about more and more. The water cooler, and I suspect. I mean, I did a poll on the good old, the terrible YouTube, and I asked people like, how do you think the Kamala Harris, how do you think she is on the border? And 13% of people did small sample size. Granted, the sample size is like about 20 people, but about, what was it, 12 to 13% of people said she was doing a good job at the border. Unfortunately, they didn't give any comments or kind of explain it, but I'd love to get inside their head. Just wonder, what possible metric is she? Because I don't see it. But who knows? Maybe let me know. I mean, this is certainly one of those political issues. It seems to be bleeding more and more to politics and rather more into culture with Elon chipping in. Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news: you have Kamala Harris make weed legal post. Well, it backfires epically, as many of the things she does tends to happen. Now, this comes straight from the horse's donkey's mouth, rather, and it's, well, probably more accurately her intern, but nevertheless, it's from her social media profile on X, which she says, quote, and she wasn't laughing, apparently. I can't help but read this and hear her menacing, cackling Joker laugh, because she says, and there's, I don't know what you call it, there's text before the picture, which it's not really a picture, it's just green, well, I guess it makes sense, green background and then white font, but she says, no one should go to jail for smoking weed. And then it says, Kamala Harris will legalize recreational marijuana, breaking down unjust barriers that hold black men and other Americans back, and making sure black Americans have opportunities to succeed as the marketplace takes shape. Now, one of the most mentally vacuous things about this is, as Norm would say, hypocrisy, which, yeah, that's the worst Norm impression since the 1990s, but nevertheless, it was made, the attempt was made. I say that because she probably jailed thousands of men in California for doing this, which, again, that's the law. Okay. But she then went on a podcast, laughed, and admitted, oh yeah, I did weed. So she's putting men in jail for doing it, and yet she herself was enjoying the devil's lettuce, as some might say, which, I mean, the face of hypocrisy can't get more clear than Kamala Harris. Like, ridiculous. And also pretty rudimentary, kind of cliche, like, what do you call it, shill or pandering. They have this argument every 4 years of the election. They go, oh yeah, we're going to legalize marijuana, which, I mean, I don't see much. Granted, that's not my thing. And I understand some adults and a lot of my libertarian friends will say it should all be legal. When you look at states that have done it and kind of the impact on the community, I would argue that it's probably done more harm than good overall. But it's one of those things where Kamala Harris, you yourself did this, and now you're just saying, oh yeah, now it's going to be legal. And also, it says, yeah, we'll see in our lifetime if it ever happens, but it seems to be the same cliche every 4 years. Oh yeah, we're going to do this for you. Yeah. Now, going back, let's see how viral it went. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all the comments were saying, great job, you go, Kamala. You're from a middle-class family. Not really, but going down, we see that got 3.3 million views. This is one of her most popular social media posts this month. This, as youth might say, is going viral. As perhaps more viral than some of the toxic ingredients they put into some of these aftermarket blunts, but I partially digress. One of the first comments comes from AKA saying, quote, you sent a ton of people to prison for smoking weed, though, getting 3.3 thousand likes. True. Valentina Gomez says you locked up thousands of black people for marijuana offenses, getting 3.9 thousand likes. Cloud World says, is this a joke? Weren't you the one locking people up for weed not that long ago? Now you're trying to act like you care. Getting 6.4 thousand likes. Conan Operator, also known as Brandon Herrera. Oh, no. Huh? Oh, it was. Yeah, it's Brandon Herrera. Did he change that? Oh, here's the AK guy on the X Twitter. Am I wrong with that? Here's the picture load for him. Yeah, I think it is Brandon Herrera. No? No, that's wrong. My bad. Nevertheless, a fellow proud Texan, so he's still awesome. He says, quote, you literally locked up countless black men on marijuana violations. They got 9.4 thousand likes. You also have an account by the name of Kamala, HQ Lies, which, I mean, that's got to be a demanding job. There's a lot of things you need to correct. Now, they say, quote, classic Kamala, flipping a position for votes. What can you trust her is her record? Kamala oversaw almost 2,000 convictions of weed-related crimes. Here's the truth about her record on weed. Which, and it's only 30 seconds long, but we'll go ahead and we'll play it here.
Oh, cannabis?
Your views on cannabis?
I just feel strongly people should not be going to jail for smoking weed. And we know historically what that has meant and who has gone to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Second, I just think we have come to a point where we have to understand that we need to legalize it and stop criminalizing this behavior. And so, and I've actually, this is not a new position for me. I have felt for a long time we need to legalize it. So that's where I am on that.
I love it.
Okay.
But you arrested thousands of that while you yourself did it. Ridiculous. Let's see. We do have a contrarian statement. Someone by the name of, I don't know how mentally vacuous this is. Her name is Thank You Joe Biden. Is this someone who bailed out with the student loans illegally? So her name, I mean, I guess I appreciate her name is pretty self-explanatory. You know exactly where she stands on. I don't know why. Do all these people have the same cliche copy-paste description? She's a livid introvert, Democrat fan, creative INFJ, an animal. They all say this stuff. Animal advocate, forgotten Gen Xer. There's no plan B. Why do they all have the same description? It's a blue checkmark account, so they're paying for it. That's authorized or verified, whatever. She did get 36 likes. And she has a picture of Joe Biden with the pixelated glasses. It says, Dank Dark Brandon. It says, Baden Conduct. Perhaps she was inebriated when she typed this out, because it makes basically no sense. But it got 35 likes. Cat Turd has an AI picture generated of Kamala, and she's cackling, of course. And she has a sign that says, no votes, no brains, getting 500, wow, went up before our eyes, 592 likes, which, oh yeah, she got no votes. It just kind of wheeled her in. But remember, people on the right are the threat to democracy, we're told. Scrolling down more and more. The rabbit hole has a picture of the Hulk standing above some guy in the Avengers DC universe. Kidding, I know those are rival comic strips. Now it says the Hulk is apparently Kamala Harris. The guy sitting on the bench is black people, and it's Kamala Harris giving them weed. Got 202 likes. Sarah Rose says, you jailed more black men in history for smoking weed, you dumbass. You're a horrendous prosecutor, getting 8.8 thousand likes. Oh, this is a classic. We'll play this clip. It's from Sean Harris. It says, you jailed people back in California for smoking weed, over 1,500 people in jailed. But this is Tulsi Gabbard roasting her during the DNC primary all those years ago. Back when they had primaries.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Roasted. That's why she couldn't even get 1% during those primaries back in the day when Democrats actually had primaries. Which, yeah. Exceptional debate work, Tulsi. That got 8.6 thousand likes. TBH says, all black people don't smoke weed. Other races smoke weed too. I don't think you understand how insulting this post is. Precisely. I added the precisely part. That got 2.6 thousand likes. Let's see here. There's a tweet from Kamala Harris from 2012, apparently a screenshot from Vance Murphy saying this you. The tweet from Kamala Harris says, Mountain and Valley Marijuana Investigation Team arrests 5 people involved in large-scale indoor marijuana. They got 1.5 thousand likes. Let's see. So there's 1 or 2 contrarian statements, but overall, I mean, let's see here. It's pretty much roasting her viciously for being a hypocrite. A lot of people saying she's fake. And again, this is the same pandering they do every 4 years. Which, again, I debate how much real... I mean, well, let's see. I'll do one more comic. Joey Caesar Salads simply says, are you mentally vacuous? Getting 261 likes. Let's see. AG, we'll do one more post, sorry. So the New York Post says, there's a tweet that was retweeted by AG saying this is awkward. The New York Post said, quote, Kamala Harris urges black men to vote for her to legalize weed despite convicting 1,900 as the district attorney. Getting 23 likes, which, yeah, this isn't helping her. Someone actually made this compilation, was it last year? There's a picture, I forget what you call it, but not is it a mosaic? So it's a picture made up of thousands of individual pictures, and it's the picture of all the men she arrested. And yeah, that got 20 likes, which, at least in terms of modern art, kind of impressive. That's always interested me. So, I mean, one of those things where libertarian candidates usually get a lot of traction in terms of, legalizing drugs. A lot of them really, they believe in, the government having absolutely no intervention. And they have that policy, they talk about every 4 years and try to get some traction. But yeah, for someone to flip this much, again, well, firstly, I'm not sure if anyone really believes her. Secondly, I think one of the things where a lot of Republicans actually critiqued her for, putting those guys in jail for breaking the law, which they shouldn't. Republicans are supposedly, part of law and order. I don't really critique her too much for that. That was her job. She's supposed to be keeping men beyond how long they're supposed to be in jail for free labor or discounted labor. That's morally vacuous, disgusting. And the fact that she had the audacity to just, when someone asked about her, again, her response to someone asking her about those jailing of individuals for enjoying the devil's lettuce was her to just laugh derisively and imply that she did it herself. I mean, that's F- for politics, but it's also immoral, hypocritical, which I think a lot of people, as we see in the comments here, are pointing that out. So, and it's one of those, I don't see this helping her out in the polls at all. And this isn't like a biased sample size in terms of not reading this from someone who's critiquing her, who the audience will be more likely to be, on her side or on their side rather. This is straight from her post on X Twitter. In the U.S., is about 50-50 split Republican versus Democrat, and yeah, overwhelming majority of the comments are all negative. And granted, we can read the comments. I mean, what, 9.5 thousand comments in total. So granted, I'm sure there's some more positive ones. We kind of read the top of them. But yeah, I've never seen. I mean, this wasn't as bad as a Chris Christie tweet, where truth be told, he had 2 times where he tweeted something and literally there wasn't a single positive response. It was that negative, which is almost statistically impossible, because I thought Chris Christie had a couple friends and family and even campaign staff when he was running for the Republican nominee. But yeah, wasn't that quite as bad as a ratio, but pretty bad for Kamala Harris. And I don't see how this is going to make her life any better. I don't see it moving, the polls in her direction or getting anyone to vote for her because of this. I think no one believes platitudes anymore. They've said this for decades. But let me know in the comments. Do you think she would actually make it legal? And then would they have a pathway for people to get out of prison early? Because would the law be retroactive in terms of having legal people in prison? Because, well, granted, those are mostly distributors. But would they be plead down more? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news: the United Auto Workers rally to elect Harris Walz, and gets a little bit of critique in the comment section. And this is yet another reason why I usually put the United Auto Workers, or the UAW, in the political part of the podcast, because they're one of the most influential political groups out there. Technically, they're the union for the auto working community, auto working industry, and historically they represented the major American manufacturers of General Motors, Ford, as well as Chrysler, though now it's become Stellantis with a new holding company behind them, and they make some of the most reliable cars out there. That's a joke, because for decades, the most reliable cars have been Japanese, non-union made. I'm sure that's just coincidence. However, now with the union, though, they historically spend a preposterous amount of money, helping get Democrats get elected, and consistently will always give them their endorsement and do rallies and get the vote out. And yeah, they usually get rewarded by government contracts, preferential treatment. Never forget when the White House under Biden had an EV summit. They invited General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler to talk about EVs. They didn't include Tesla. At the time, that fiscal quarter, when they had that meeting, Tesla had produced, I believe, about 300,000 units of EVs, more than any other manufacturer, bar none. In fact, more than anyone else combined, everyone else combined. And yet, the White House snubbed Elon by not inviting him, and they had the audacity, and Biden was more coherent at the time. With a straight face, he said General Motors is the head of innovation for electric vehicles, which is one of the most comical things, especially that fiscal period. GM made less than 50 EVs. And to this day, is still not one of the major manufacturers, though they're having more in their portfolio. It's comical and insulting. I kind of have a theory that that's when Elon really started to shift more into libertarian or more right-wing political thoughts. Because, again, the White House snubbed the biggest, most innovative EV company on the planet. And granted, I'm not a big fan of EVs. I love having 3 pedals, and manual transmission is the only thing I'll ever have with a gas engine. But at least appreciate the engineering and, achieving the unachievable when it comes to, starting an automotive company. And the White House snubbed it. Now, the new UAW president, Sean Fain, is also friends with the Marxists. He has Bernie Sanders consistently speaking at all these rallies. And a lot of the union members are starting to wake up to the fact that these union leaders do not have your best interests at heart. One of my best metaphors when it comes to relationships, on average, between unions and management and all the community, or unions and management, is, well, UAW leadership is kind of like a divorce attorney. Once they get involved, they benefit from creating conflict. It's not just for their job and their big fees. And Lord knows the president of the UAW makes a pretty penny. Now, we'll go to the main comment section here, and this actually is on their Facebook page. And hilariously enough, and again, I follow pretty much everyone politically on the social media, so I can gain more perspective. That's why it popped up on my timeline, because I follow UAW, even if I don't agree with pretty much anything they do. But I do appreciate they do make Cadillac CT4V Blackwing and CT5V Blackwing, which are some of the very few good remaining GM products out there. I'd buy one if I won the lottery. A V8 with a stick shift, that's rare in and of itself. But enough of my ADHD. We'll get to the good old Facebook, or the Facebook rather, post. Now, looks like this is specifically, you can see here, is posted by the UAW. They say, quote, rally with the working class. They're not going to be there. Now they say, quote, rally with the working class to elect Harris Walz on Sunday, October 20th at 11:30 a.m. at UAW Local 66 in Allenstown, Pennsylvania, featuring UAW President Shawn Fain, Congressman Susan Wild, UAW Region 9A Director Brandon Mansilla, UAW Region Director 9 Daniel Vincent, and UAW members register here, which, yeah, not many people are. And again, we'll go to the comment section in New York Minute. Here you can see their, which I don't want to say again, F- for marketing for the graphical design, but yeah, I'm actually surprised it's not, well, I'm surprised it's not, a hammer and sickle behind there. Interestingly enough, it's not present there. And they even have, you can see all of them right there, which, again, the most ironic thing ever, the UAW, they elect these leaders, they get Biden in office and bans the most popular thing they sell. And again, some of these unions get profit sharing too. The best thing GM, Ford, or Chrysler ever made was a good old V8. They perfected that platform. It was a beautiful thing of engineering and craftsmanship. And yet, Biden's pushing EVs. It's a de facto ban on gas engines with the tailpipe emission standards, where basically you have a fleet of automotive vehicles. Well, you have to have a certain standards of emissions and fuel economy. And they've gotten those so ratcheted up, the only way you can possibly conceivably hit those standards is with an offset of major EV manufacturing. Again, it's not necessarily that these companies want to make them, this government's also pushing them. And there's there's about 18 people who want to buy them as well. I'm only partially kidding. Some people do want them, but again, a lot of people don't appreciate the government taking away the good old American muscle from them, as a Dodge Charger is becoming an EV. Don't get me started on that. But the most profitable thing the UAW has ever done is V8s, big SUVs and trucks, which is also best for the companies because those are the most profitable products. And they elected someone who's banning them and forcing them to make EVs, which inherently EVs have less components to actually put together, less rudimentary or low-skill entry-level jobs. You're going to need a lot of software engineers, that's for sure. You're going to need a lot of high-tech component manufacturing, but there will be less jobs that are entry-level because of switching to EVs and less components, less complexity. So at the end of the day, I think the jobs, there's always a debate of, when you have automation, new technologies, are jobs lost or created? I believe at the end of the day, the jobs will be about the same, but there'll be different jobs. There'll be software engineering. And some employees, hopefully they do transition in terms of gaining a new skill set, but not all of them will. And the UAW is pushing for that. So that's why I suspect a lot of members, and I've actually kind of defaulted having family in Michigan. I have families on both sides of the aisle in terms of they work for the UAW to actually on the assembly lines as well as management. And yeah, the stories would, they'd be pretty fascinating. Oh, geez Louise. So unfortunately, it's like unless I'm logged in, it won't give you the like ratio. Let's see here. Give me a New York Minute here. See if we get the like ratio here. Not so much. All right. Nevertheless, says, isn't the union a Democrat-backed organization? Are we the upside-down world? LOL, don't think the Republicans like unions. I'm sure they'll be happy paying less. I don't know. Just what I came to learn. Got 15 upvotes, 10 likes. Mark McKenzie says, Fain, again, that's the leader of the UAW, says, Fain needs to step down. He's entirely way too political. Plus, I bet majority of members disagree with him. Teamsters did right by not endorsing anyone, which will make political politicians work for the endorsement. Fain is a cancer to the union. He doesn't represent me or many that I know. That got 49 likes and only 6 laughs. Jay Raphael says, every single person in the international needs to be flushed out. This swap is ranking, 29 likes. David Tier says, put it up for membership vote. Who wants to support then do what your membership wants. They won't do that. Getting 44 likes. Oh. Really, Facebook? The Facebook doesn't want me to see most of the article because they want me to log in, or they want me to log in. Lame. But yeah, they're going to try to do that rally in one of the most ironic things ever. Yeah, I'll pull it up really quick on the laptop here. Get a couple more contrarian statements, perhaps. Let's see here. Never be too upset when there's technical issues because that's a big part of my tech job. Let's see. Check your notifications. Oh, Facebook. Oh, well. Oh. So, again, they're trying to do this rally, and I don't think they're going to get support that they traditionally had. Because, again, the most profitable product they make is being made illegal and going away the dodo, thanks to the people they themselves push to get into office. When it comes to the actual workers on the ground, because, again, there are hardworking folks that work over there, too, don't get me wrong. I think a lot of them are going to be voting Trump, because Trump, again, every union member should hear this and hear it loud. Trump said, day one, he gets rid of the EV mandate. So you can go back to making the most profitable, awesome thing you make that consumers actually want to buy from you. And when you look at what consumers are buying for EVs, I mean, Tesla's winning by, what was it, a couple of millions of miles, leaps and bounds. I mean, about 18 people are buying Ford EVs. They love them. I'm only kidding. They have 19 people at the bottom. Maybe exaggerating a bit. But Ford also lost $132,000 per EV sold Q3? That's not great. Not good. I suspect they'll eventually make it a profitability. But again, it's not good for the profit sharing members of the union. I think this is going to be one of the biggest times where you see the UAW. Again, the leaderships, they're always going to be, leftist, Marxist. But the actual union members, people paying the dues to pay for Sean's $300,000 salary. The actual working class, they're going to be worried about inflation. They're going to be worried about manufacturing jobs that they have not being, relocated or eliminated. I suspect, let me know in the comments if you think differently. I think the actual average union member, they're going to vote Trump. But let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Kamala Harris to give opportunity, but only to African-American men, as she continues to try to shill for votes, which, we look at the demographics of where she's lost the most votes. Yeah, the African-American community, especially men, they ain't voting for Kamala, statistically speaking. Granted, that being said, not many people will. Well, dead people might, but nevertheless. This is straight from Kamala Harris's, post on X Twitter. She has, I don't know what you call it. It's not an infographic, but it's just not painted. It's a colored background with white font. At least it's easy to read. Now, before she says, quote, black men deserve a president who cares about making their lives better. I agree. That person's called Donald Trump, who, when he was in office, everyone made more money. There was less inflation, no war, manufacturing, pretty much everyone's good. But let's hear what Kamal is offering. Now, again, let me know in the comments, what the heck do you call it? Where it's a picture, where it's just a colored background with a font on it. I don't say it's F- for marketing, but especially didn't put a logo or anything on it, but I partially digress. The text says, quote, Harris Walz policy. Kamala Harris will create an opportunity agenda for black men to provide 1 million loans that are fully forgivable, up to $20,000 for black entrepreneurs and others who want to start a business. So is that the legalese saying, and others? So technically anyone could apply for it, but they won't actually get it. Because again, legally speaking, we're in America, the land of the free, home of the brave, where all men are created equal. You have equal access and opportunity. So maybe that's her cop out. Say, oh yeah, although the headline says, black men. She says, oh yeah, black entrepreneurs and others start a business. This is the same administration might give people student loan forgiveness and medical resources and even fiscal resources during the pandemic based on their race, which not just illegal, but morally vacuous. Another bullet point says, quote, support education, training, and mentorship programs that lead to good paying jobs for black men, including pathways to becoming teachers, which, mentorship programs. So that one for sure is exclusive. It's not, it didn't say or others. Perhaps because it's not a specific statistic talking about, fiscal amounts. It also says protect. Well, that's hilarious. Now she likes crypto. Trump was winning that argument for a while. Well, Harris, that's going to be a really hard campaign in terms of the keyboarders who work at her campaign. All day long, they have to do Control, Copy, Control, V, or also known as copy paste. They got to go to Trump's website, take policy, copy, paste it. Talk about a rough and, talk about a stressful job. So she said, again, she wants to protect cryptocurrency investments so black men who make them know their money is safe. Wait, aren't you the same person who wants to tax unrealized gains? I digress. He wants to launch a national health initiative focused on the illnesses that disproportionately impact black men. And this, I think, is most insulting. He says, oh yeah, another thing that will specifically help black men, legalize recreational marijuana and create opportunities for black Americans to succeed in the new industry. Considering that, you know, disproportionate amount of African American gentlemen enjoy the devil's lettuce, which I'm sorry she didn't get called out for that. But yeah, that's her plan for the opportunity. You know what she could do that would help everyone? Yeah, decrease inflation, you know, secure the border, aka, you know, decrease the supply of people who can get jobs. Again, because the greater supply, lower demand, lower wages. But maybe everyone thought this is going to turn it all around. They're all going to vote for her now. I mean, no, probably not, but let's look at the comment section. And this was her most viral thing of all, I was going to say, in quite some time. It got 20.8 million views, which, quite a view. Not to brag, but I got 6 views of my video last week and 2 likes. I think one was from my friend, but nevertheless, another friendly reminder to like this video and subscribe. It may very well help my speaking ineptitudes, which I know there are many. I first started the show, barely 8 subscribers, but yeah, I think that was because at the time, or coincidence, or is it? I spoke even worse than I do now, spoke even more quickly than I do now, mostly monotone, and stumbled over my words like Joe Biden trying to crawl upstairs. It was pretty bad, but as I slowly but surely gained more subscribers, I become more fluent in speaking, more articulate. Granted, the bar was quite low, some might say it's just a modicum of improvement, but I suspect there's improvement nevertheless. Feeling the theory, the more people that subscribe, the better I'll become at speaking, and someday have an entire episode in perfect speaking ability. Tall order, some might say, but you have to shoot for the stars. So if you can do me a favor, click that button and tell your friends, I'd really appreciate it. And or tell your enemies. They might become your friends. Or they might hate the content so much they just further annoys them, which, again, brownie points as well. And interesting enough, one of the worst ratios I've seen in quite some time. See, you didn't click the button. That's why I stumbled again. Again, it tapped 20.8 million views, but only 28,000 likes, which, yeah, that's pretty anemic to say the least. Now, scrolling down the comment section, one of the first and most popular ones comes from Donald J. Trump post from his True Social, which very long, cumbersome username, but nevertheless, says, quote, can you imagine if Trump put out something and replaced the black with white? This would be the most racist thing ever put out by a sitting vice president and candidate for president. Got 26,000 likes, which means nearly ratioed by the number of comments and volume. She is in that regard. You also have End Wokeness saying, quote, bribing voters and discrimination on the basis of race is illegal. Gained 67,000 likes. She did get ratioed. And I liked it. Not just the ratio, the fact that happened, but also like that. Catturd simply has a hand pointing up emoji saying racist, gained 22,000 likes. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, blatant racism, gained 28,000 likes. AKA says, we're going to vote for Trump and you're going to be unemployed, gained 5.5 thousand likes, which, no, she'll never be unemployed. She would get a job at MSNBC, CNN, or ABC, make 6 figures, and give her some book deals, and she'd probably make $4 million per speech she gives at these conferences, like Hillary Clinton, who never actually released what she spoke about, but she made all that money just for, you know, going to a conference. Which I should say, for the record, nothing suspicious about Hillary Clinton or those conferences or those, you know, speaking fees that she got. Yeah, like $250,000 plus for a speaking engagement. She does not have a disproportionate amount of people around her, you know, who committed suicide. She is a strong, you know, beautiful, intelligent, not corrupt woman. I coincidentally want to say I would never end my life prematurely and plan to live a very long, fulfilling life. Just coincidentally, I want to throw it out there. Going back to the comment section, Cash Loren says, only racists like Kamala separate America by race, vote for Trump and make all Americans' lives affordable again, getting 5,000 likes. Let's see. The rabbit hole says, didn't we fight the war to make buying black money legal? Wow, getting 7.2 thousand likes. Kamala Harris HQ Live says, yeah, they do, and it's not you. The data shows it. Here's what Trump did. Says, here's a good info. It says, the lie. Trump recorded high black employment against the responding Kamala Harris says, quote, the truth. Prior to the pandemic, Trump set records for the lowest African-American unemployment. After the liberal COVID shutdowns, the jobs came back, and Kamala is trying to take credit for it. Here's the facts. Under Trump, African-American employment hit a record low. In fact, African-American hit the lowest level since the government started tracking unemployment in 1972, January. After the pandemic lockdowns, it took Biden and Kamala 2 years to get African-American unemployment to where Trump had it. During Trump's pre-pandemic economy, black median weekly earnings increased by an average of 4.1%, outpacing the 3.4% growth seen with white workers. Incentives from Trump Opportunity Zones attracted $75 billion in capital for underserved communities in the last 2 years, created around 500,000 jobs, and set a path to lift 1 million people out of poverty. They got 1,000 likes for that one. Greg says, my black friend who I convicted to buy Bitcoin will be happy to see this. Got 10,000 likes. Valentino Go says, you're so desperate you're now offering 20K to black men to help you campaign. Getting 5.4 thousand likes. Let's see. I haven't seen a single positive comment thus far. Not cherry picking them. I'm literally reading the top ones. Zupa says, Kamala's pandering to black men is insulting to all Americans, especially black men. She's supposed to be helping all Americans. Instead, she's targeting only people walking away from her. That's not what leaders do. Shame on Kamala. They got 4.9 thousand likes. Valentino Gomez also says, bribing black men, $10,000 will not help you. Barack Obama, brothers, getting 4.9 thousand likes. Matt Wallace says, Kamala is losing so bad she's resorting to racist fake bribes, getting 2.5 thousand likes. Well, disappointed. Planet of Memes did not in fact respond in meme form, but just simple text. But this alleged Planet of Memes says, quote, your pandering to black American men is disgusting and degrading, getting 5.2 thousand likes. Brother Eagleman also says, buying votes should be criminal, getting 5.7 thousand likes. Let's see. Levercat Media TM says, new title, ma'am. It's a picture of Kamala laughing. Saying, Pander in Chief, getting 65 likes. Doobie says, how is this real? Getting 20,000 likes. IO says, this is overt racial discrimination, getting 24,000 likes. Jeez. Cynical Publicist says, how about we have a president who makes all lives better in America, getting 6.4 thousand likes. May says, this is what America's come to. Politicians using our tax money to pay groups of people who vote for them. This is so sad, getting 12,000 likes. Shibuti Nakimoto says, you know this is really illegal under the 14th Amendment, right? It's kind of terrible to pull the rug. Black men have been promising them something illegal. You're literally a former general attorney. You understand the law, right? So this isn't incompetence but malice. Getting 9.8 thousand likes. Let's see. Tommy Loren says, this looks pretty racist and unconstitutional. Getting 14 likes. Not the B says, your lack of respect for black men is abhorrent. Getting 1.6 thousand likes. And A+, you're using a fancy word. We don't use that word enough. Let's see. The Crippen says, Elon Musk will be pleased to hear that since he's an African American. Getting 1.9 thousand likes. Officer Lou says, black men were waking up to the Democrat plantation. We aren't voting for you, unquote. Getting 8.8 thousand likes, which I mean, I haven't seen a single contrarian statement or anyone sticking up for Kamala or supporting her in this regard. Which also Don Luker simply said, shut up, thought, getting 3.1 thousand likes. Let's see. I mean, this might be a Chris Christie ratio, a fascinating political phenomenon in which Chris Christie, twice when he was running for Republican nominee, had 0 positive comments in his social media when he posted something, which is statistically impossible because presumably he had, family, friends, and allegedly a campaign staff. Yeah, he had 2 times where we looked at every single comment of Chris Christie's and if they responded to Chris Christie's post, not a single one of them had a positive thing to say. Not to lie, but I had 3 comments on video last week. And only 2 of them were divisive or pejorative. Though, again, any critical, constructive feedback is appreciated. So one of her most negative ratioed tweets ever. Also illegal. Granted, rules with, I'm sure in terms of even if it is illegal, she won't be held accountable. They never are. But yeah, I mean, they are pandering. I mean, they're trying to pander as much as possible. I'm sure they are irate that the Supreme Court shot down their idea to quote unquote forgive student loans when again it's just redistributing it to people who pay taxes, to people who took out the loans. I bet they are still irate about that. Let's see, but let me look at. I mean, they'll keep trying. They're not going to give up overnight. What do you think she'll do next in terms of? I mean, this is clearly a bribe, but she's trying to get back that demographic that they've been losing time and time again, as we're shifting more and more to the Republican side of the political aisle. I mean, at this point, is there anything she can do to salvage that? Do you think there's anything she can do to turn things around realistically? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Joker 2 on track to lose $150 million in theaters, which, yep, Hollywood giving people stuff they don't want is, yeah, they seem to keep shooting themselves in the foot in true Hollywood style. Now, this is brought to us thanks to good old Barik over at on LinkedIn, as well as Riva Gold, who's the editor there. There you can see, I don't know who that is, the actor and the actress of the Joker. Granted, they have makeup on. May not really watch a lot of movies, but I'm going to guess that's them. They're standing in front of the poster. Surely it's them. Maybe. Now, again, Riva Gold is an article writer. They say, quote, Joker to lose $150 million in theaters. It says, Joker fully docs. I'm definitely butchering that one, not intentionally. They say, quote, maybe that's why it's failing. Joker, Folly de Douche, Deuce, Jukes. This is America. I'm not reading French. We conquered them years ago. Again, that's why maybe a Joker 2 in the headline. Having a movie that's easy to pronounce is probably a good way to ensure more people see it and want to see it. Nevertheless, they say, quote, "The Joker 2 is shaping up to be a box office disaster for Warner Brothers. Variety, which cites anonymous sources, projected the film to lose 150 million to 200 million in its big screen run. The musical, a sequel to 2019's Joker, which earned more than 1 billion worldwide, has grossed about 51.5 million domestically so far on a $200 million budget, which, depending on how you measure that, it's going to be even worse because, depending on which metric you're talking about in terms of Hollywood production, sometimes they do, sometimes they do not include marketing, which is, they spend more money on marketing than friggin' pharmaceutical companies. It's astonishing how much they spend on marketing for films, which again also leads to a lower ROI. Well, depending if it's an effective advertisement, but it's one of the reasons why they become less profitable because they spend a lot of money on marketing. Now, they also say, quote, they suffered the, quote, worst decline in history for a comic book movie in its second week of release. Warner Brothers could recoup the losses, however, via home entertainment platforms, which, yeah, I'm not sure someone like Netflix is going to come around and say, hey, we're going to give you lots of money for this. Yeah. No, probably not. Not at all. Which, I mean, these we've seen, again, it's also, this is the best example of AI just replacing Hollywood. Just remaking crap and not coming up with anything new. So they saw that the original Joker made $1 billion. So instead of having a new idea, they go, all right, let's take this intellectual property and, well, tweak it a little bit. Which, again, it works for the Fast and Furious movies somehow. But, yeah, for most every movie, most of them just lose money time and time again after you have the original and the sequel. Which is a good metaphor for a lot of film production these days, especially anything made by Disney, where it's just a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy, which, fun experiment at home with your little scanner computer. Yeah, every time you do that, the image quality actually degrades, like most Disney films. So I'm not sure who's in charge of the writing of this, but again, the fact that it is failing so epically, losing between $150 million to $200 million, I'm not sure who's making that call at Warner Brothers, but I gotta say, that certainly has to be the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.